Sure. So it started before my time, but the series always takes 10 stories from a capital city or interesting city and translates them into English for the first time. And I think the brief we usually give our co-editors and our authors is to encapsulate that city, to give us a taster of it, because they're often places people wouldn't travel to or would be wary of travelling to perhaps. They're often underrepresented in English language, and they cover, you know, the history of that country, the culture, the people. So when I was working on the book of Riga, it was very much how to capture Riga in a collection of stories and show it to someone who has never been there or doesn't know very much about it. And I hope that it does that. I think translated literature is incredibly important for showing these underrepresented and marginalised voices, especially, you know, the Book of Gaza or the Book of Dhaka. You get very little translation from Palestine or from Bengali into English, and I think we would be a much more well-rounded society if we read more in translation. So when I was putting the book together, it was actually quite easy because there's a very, very vibrant and active short story culture in Latvia and Riga especially. And what I noticed was that a lot of them focus on the history of the city and how it's changed since then, so through protest movements or through social changes. So for example, attitudes towards women. Yeah, so a lot of the stories, they're kind of focused on the history and the reality, but then on the flip side, there's also some magical realism in there, and folk tales and folklore definitely comes through as an influence. So you've kind of got this this reality of a city that's kind of growing and changing and expanding all the time, but is also reflecting on its past and how it's changed and how it can change in the future, which is, I think, really interesting. Latvia and Riga, especially in my experience, is incredibly vibrant culturally, and I think underappreciated for how fantastic it is in terms of literature and culture generally. So yeah. I'm going to try and get tickets to go and see Guy Garatnik because I think he's a fantastic writer, and also I'm quite intrigued by the Bogota 39 collection, because obviously that's another fantastic short story collection in translation, and we've also just done a collection of Latin American writers in the Book of Havana, so it'll be interesting to see the contrast there with different Latin American writers for sure. Hi, I'm Becca from Comma Press. Please come down on the 15th of October to the Book of Riga, which is at the International Anthony Burgess Foundation. Thank you.